Hey guys, how's it going? It's Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, and this is my weekly forecast for the week of July 16th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, and I am recording this video during the full moon lunar eclipse on the 16th. I already did a video on the eclipse. It's the one right before this one, but I really wanted to film this weekly forecast for the week during this eclipse energy, because this eclipse energy kind of co-weaves through the themes that we see for the rest of the week. And also during the last video, I talked a lot about this energy more on a collective level, a more mass scale level. And this video, I'm going to talk more about it on a microcosmic personal level. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the week up until Monday the 22nd, when the sun moves into Leo. So to start, I wanted to read some of the responses that I got from a little questionnaire that I did on my Instagram this morning. I asked my followers to express how they were feeling the vibe of this eclipse in one word, and these are the responses that I got. So I wanted to read these to you so we can kind of vibe out how the collective is feeling right now during this eclipse energy. So the first response is structure. I really like this because I think it makes a lot of sense. We've got Saturn opposing Venus. This whole eclipse is very much about Saturn because it's a full moon in Capricorn, which rules Saturn. So Saturn rules structure. Saturn rules and regulations and restrictions, and he's the taskmaster. He comes and he makes us show up to work. So structure makes a lot of sense. Heavy. Saturn is also very dense, so that makes sense as well. Final. Phoenix. Grounding. Definitely grounding. Saturn is very earthy and grounding. Raw. Terminal. Ooh. Energizing. Heavy. Transformative. Surrender. Reorientation. Reconstructive. I like that one too. Immense. Purging. Peaceful surrender. I like that one a lot as well. Sobering. It's definitely sobering. Saturn can take the wind out of our sails. Growing has a lot to do with growing up. We'll talk about that as well. Entropic. I like that word. Needy. It's all that Cancer. Jarring and wild. So, yes, obviously, based on our responses, it doesn't exactly feel like a massive celebration. And I think that it has a lot to do with the Saturn and Pluto elements. First of all, we have the moon conjunct Pluto during this eclipse. And our moon is our inner landscape, and it's our feelings of security. It's our insecurities. It's feeling safe or unsafe. It's our emotional world. And when that space is tightly conjunct the dark planet of Pluto, the emotional seas are surging. We do in this time have greater access to our subconscious, often from the upsurge of subconscious fears literally dancing upon the screen of our reality. So this is a time when we can get really up close and personal with some of our subconscious fears that might be making a very emotional entrance onto the scene because of all of the Cancer that we have in the chart with the Sun and Venus and the North Node. And we also have a Mercury retrograde right now, unfortunately, which honestly, this Mercury retrograde in Leo has been one of the worst I've personally experienced in a long time. It's been kind of a nightmare. So Mercury's retrograding, which is not helping our ability to see things or especially say things exactly as we would like to. But if we look at the chart, we have Saturn at 16 degrees Capricorn, and we have Venus at 16 degrees Cancer. That's a direct opposition between Saturn and poor Venus, who's looking extremely bullied within this chart, within this spread. She's like cowering over there in the corner of the chart. She looks like she's being victimized. And I think that's kind of how some of us might be feeling during this eclipse to an extent. There's a feeling that things got just a little bit more difficult than they need to be, which, we can feel defensive over that and get into a place where we do feel victimized by our circumstance. However, that's not the role we want to take with our relationship to Saturn. Saturn's not empathic. He doesn't really care how you feel about his lessons. He just wants you to learn them. He's the stern grandfather archetype. So, getting weepy or defensive in that Cancer energy, which is the wounded child, it's not really going to help, because we're really being asked in this eclipse to get our shit together, but lack of a better way to put it, to get it together, to grow up, to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and face reality. And if Saturn is coming down on you right now, he's simply showing you where there are holes in the plan, where you need to put focused, slow attention in order to improve. That's really what he wants us to do. And because he's in opposition to Venus and the Sun in Cancer, it is a lunar eclipse where we can be really having some of our insecurities exposed. And with the aspects to Pluto, these can be really karmic insecurities related to childhood. Especially because of Venus, this can be insecurity within our relationships, within love, within finances. And because it's Saturn, this can have to do with security as it's related to our confidence in our long-term goals. So this could be feelings of, I'm not where I want to be in my life, I'll never make it, I'm not good at this, or this kind of stuff can be coming up. And again, rather than kind of like crawling in a hole and feeling victimized by the world, rather Saturn's asking that we prove it, more or less, and put in the work and put in the hours and show up right now as mature, functioning adults in order to handle these things. And I just want to, a moment of silence for how many planets we have retrograde right now. We have a lot of them. So I keep telling people during my readings, like, it's not necessarily the time to be moving forward with great speed at this moment. It's just simply not. It's a time for reflection. Mercury is going to go back into Cancer on this Friday, the 19th, unfortunately, where it will conjunct the Sun again, retrograde in Cancer. So we're not done with this Cancer stuff yet, guys. So it's a lot of emotional processing. It's a lot of coming to realizations, harsh ones perhaps. It's a lot of having to work through this stuff so that we can evolve, which brings me to the main point that I want to make about the transits for this coming week, which is when we go through what I'm considering kind of the second wave of this eclipse portal, because as of right now, this moment, we have, as I said, Saturn in direct opposition to Venus. On Saturday, the 20th, and into the weekend, we're going to have Pluto in Capricorn come in direct opposition to Venus. So we are feeling Pluto right now. He's a part of all of this energy that we're feeling, to be sure. But we're really going to start to feel more so acutely the Plutonian, regenerative, transformational aspect of this change that's occurring for many people, this growth and surrender to Saturn and Pluto. that's when we're really going to see that happen through this week. So I think a lot of that has to do with taking responsibility. I think it has to do with showing up, staying sober, and staying focused, and making lists of places that we know we need to put in work and mature. And then on Monday, the 22nd, we will have the sun move into Leo, bringing us into Leo month, and then we'll do a video on that next week. But just to kind of wrap up this week, so we're going to have the eclipse to start it out, and I think because of that Pluto opposition towards the end of the week, it's about facing reality, not being victimized, doing the deep transformative work, surrendering to the retrograde process, knowing that when all of these planets go direct, it's going to be time to act and things are going to start making a lot more sense. We have Jupiter go direct in August. We have Saturn go direct in September. We have Pluto go direct in October. So by fall, so many of us are going to be in such a different place. It's amazing. And we can look at that in your chart. We can look at where Saturn and Pluto are going to go direct in the fall and where things are going to really start moving. Because honestly, those guys have been retrograde for what feels like forever. So it's going to be totally different. But we got to put in some work right now. And as I said in my last video, there is a cord of influence that is connecting this eclipse on today, the 16th, with the eclipse on January 10th, 2020. And that eclipse is absolutely insane. And I'm going to say it again. It's time to get our shit together. From now until then, no more games. We got to get our health in line. We got to get our relationships healthy. We got to do whatever we need to do to get our stuff together, because come January, we want to be where we want to be. And this eclipse is letting you essentially lay the groundwork for where you want to show up and pop out in January. So take advantage of this eclipse. I'm going to try to get this video out today because I want to encourage you guys to make lists and be really honest about where you're at and where you see yourself in January 2020 and what needs to be done. If you want to make more money, how much money? Do you even, I think that's really important, is being really specific. Maybe you don't even know how much money you want to make, and maybe that's why you're not able to manifest it. How much money do you want to make? Why do you want to make that amount of money? Where is it going to go? Be really clear so the universe has an opening to deliver that to you. And how are you going to do it? What are the ideas? And that's Saturn. He really likes that type of energy because you're showing up and you're showing that you're willing to actually do work. So lots of reality checks. I know that there's a lot of there's a lot of karma in this eclipse. So there's never any coincidences, but there's definitely not any right now. Whatever's coming up for you, especially if it's challenging in particular, there's definitely a deeper karmic lesson around it. So be a little investigator and figure it out and kind of dive really deep so you can transform it with this opposition to Pluto. And if it's dense and negative, then you can get it out of your field and be done with it. All right, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you would like to reach out to me for a reading, my email will be down below. And if you've enjoyed the music in the background of this video, you can find the link in the description box as well. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.